Hello, my name is Host Eric. I'm host Talking with Fitness People, and today I want to talk about the mirror conundra of the ENTP and the INFJ personality types. What do I mean by the mirror conundra? Well, conundra, of course, is plural for conundrum, and the mirroring aspect has to do with the second and third functions TI and FE in opposite order. Now, this all links in with the hidden agenda. The hidden agenda for the ENTP is to be loved, to get the FE gratification that he wants ultimately. A sense that people care for him, that people respect him, think highly of his opinion, listen to him, and enjoy being around him, and all that stuff. The FE stuff. Now, in contrast, the INFJ has TI in the third slot, and that means they're looking for I think in both instances we're looking for a vacation from our tool function. So the conundrum goes as follows. For the ENTP, it's probably less of a challenge because we look at things logically, and when that runs afoul of extroverted feeling, we can always sweep up after the fact. We can say, hey, I'm sorry, or I should have been nicer, or whatever. Hold on a second. But the other reality is when we do a poor job with our extroverted feeling, we're likely to get informed of that fact by the outside world. Now, the INFJ conundrum is the opposite and in many ways more difficult because the INFJ comes into later adulthood, late 20s, early 30s, whatever, with something akin to mastery of FE. They're extremely good at it, and pretty much what they discovered is that you can get by in life just on FE a lot of times. If you make the person whom you're dealing with feel good about themselves, then it doesn't so much matter what your ideas are or how consistent they are or anything. If you FE it well enough, you'll be perceived as what you want to be perceived as. This is something the INFJ has mastered and has internalized as both a quality and a value. Just as the ENTP, if he's done a good job with his TI, has come to understand himself as somehow fundamentally more logical than most people and able to easily enough dispatch with their wrongness as needed. Now, both those things are addictive in their own way, but dispatching with wrongness gets a lot more natural pushback than making people feel good about themselves. Just as when you give a student an F in a class and your teacher gets a lot more pushback than when you give them an A. So, INFJ then has less natural impetus to deal with this bridging of FE and TI, but like the ENTP, to be fully happy and realize they really have to get their juice from that third slot hidden agenda TI. They're looking for things to be consistent and make sense despite the FE concerns. So they're looking to prioritize TI over FE, just as ENTPs ultimately are looking to prioritize feelings over thinking. We're looking to find a way. We never ultimately will, but at the same time, we always ultimately will, when it comes down to it, or at least I will, prioritize. Well, I mean, the thing is, it depends. It depends on the circumstances. I guess not always, but most of the time I will prioritize FE stuff, and most of the time I think that prioritizing the TI stuff is prioritizing the FE stuff ultimately if you present it right and walk through all the meow. So those are then the conundra for the INFJ, and the ENTP. Now, it should be noted that the INFJ, using introverted intuition in the dominant slot, is going to be primarily engaged in an epistemological concern in life, namely knowing the truth and rightness and correctness of things, and metaphysical knowledge. As a inferior function, they've got extroverted sensing, which means they seek that in the same way that ENTPs seek SI. But the difference is, with any in the dominant slot for the ENTP, we are all about figuring out new ways of being, new ways of constructing our identity. It kind of goes with the territory when you've got NE, TI, and then FE driving the bus ultimately and trying to guide us towards being liked. So, because of this confluence of things, we've got a situation where the ENTP is constantly trying to reinvent themselves or understand themselves better in ways that display publicly. INFJ may or may not be engaged in that self-improvement process. One reason, again, is because there's not external pressure there's not external motivation to change based on somebody telling them about how they're failing. Additionally, they're probably getting a lot of positive reinforcement about how they are currently, because INFJs are notoriously well liked and appreciated because they've gone through life attending to managing the perceptions and making sure that other people are made to feel good by their company and their presence. So, the thing about the NI, like N, is that with NI in the dominant slot, with FE before TI, they are like the ENTP, except our action function is in the dominant slot, their action function is in the inferior. So, because they're epistemologically based, they're naturally going to seek a lot less external information. And I think the trap for INFJs can be that they don't seek enough new external information, and they rely on their strong introverted intuition to tell them what's right all the time, and they can get stuck in truths that may be true and right and correct, but may be too limited in framing, and that prohibits them or precludes them from developing further. That's certainly not true of all INFJs, and I think the INFJs who are interested in this kind of stuff, watching this kind of video, are probably the ones who are developing more. I'm a big believer in the processes of metacognition, namely thinking about how we think and thinking about how cognitive functions impact our respective identity builds, which is to say the self that we conceive of ourselves as and present ourselves to others as. So INFJs, ENTPs, we're naturally buddies for good reason, because of our mirrored 2-3s and our shared intuition base. Even though introverted intuition is an epistemological concern, it's about right and correctness and stuff, it's that right and correctness and singular obvious fittedness that ENTPs need to build off of and become increasingly familiar with as they get older, and vice versa with the NE. I think that it's, in one way, for us to optimize more effectively as INFJs or ENTPs is to maximize our awareness of the ignored other intuition, because it's often the key to everything good. It is for me in music. My best musical things are those that have the most introverted intuition in them, with I mean, I never get rid of the extroverted intuition entirely. It always makes an appearance somewhere. But uh, yeah, I think that's the pathway forward for intuitives is, embrace the alternate intuition, whether it's unvalued because you got intuition as a tool function, or whether it's ignored because you got it as a dominant function. If you're an intuitive, that other intuition is the means to the promised land of good ideas and good decision making and stuff. I'd say stay away from your feelings, which are poor guides to making decisions. If you're an ENTP, probably not so great if you're an INFJ either. I don't know. But yeah, feelings are a mess, man. They are a real mess, and they can really make you do crazy shit. So I don't know what's wrong with feelings, but if I'm trying to become familiar with them. I'm trying to understand them better. I'm trying to get up close and corral them and put them in a pen and look at them and stuff. But they are unruly as fuck. So anyway, that's me with my seventh slot. FI. I don't know how some of you guys seem to handle the TE shit quite well, but you may just be managing perceptions. Who knows? Anyway, good luck with your optimization protocols and exercises of self-development. May your identity build be large and mighty. And don't forget to eat plenty of cheese. I've been host Eric, and this has been Talking with Famous People, and we've been talking INFJ, ENTP, Conundra.